Hello once again, my friends. I have something special from our friend Infernobot. He wrote this wonderful story. I'm scared. I haven't read it, but we're about to. We're going to read it together. This is Manfred Begins. I just want to say, I really love that you guys are writing Manfred stories. It makes me really happy. Hey, Moonhorse. Hello. And the Moonherd. Please enjoy this. The Manfred fanfiction. Manfiction. I'll leave it to you to decide how the voices should sound. Love your videos and keep on trucking. I will do exactly all of that. Manfred. The man who TikToks. I can't. Oh my god. It started with a horrifying discovery. In the hot still of the night, a complaint had been called into Station Square PD about an unbearable odor leaking from an abandoned building. When I arrived, the scene was already lit in strobing red lights of police cars, and the first bodies were being carted out under white sheets to waiting ambulances. Even from my perch on the roof across the street, the stench was horrendous. This was no mere neckbeard nest. This was a charnel house. Using my grappling line, I swung across the street and descended into the building via an open window. It's times like this, I was grateful for my mustache's filter. What I found shocked even me. Room after room, corpses lay slumped in corners or twisted up on the floor. All of them, each and every one, were a sickening grin. The muscles around the mouth twisted up, tighter than they had ever stretched in life. Bloodshot eyes rolled back in their sockets. Pallid skin completed the grim uniform. Eventually, I found the man I was looking for, standing awkwardly to the side in a room as two EMTs struggled to carry out another body. His red, white, and blue striped shirt, his commissioner's medallion, stood out against the drab interiors of the rundown apartments. The folds and material of my brown three-piece suit muffled my approach, and he was obviously startled by my sudden appearance. However, shock quickly turned to relief as he realized who he was looking at.
Oh, Manfred. I was hoping you could help us figure this one out. We don't know what to make of it.
How many?
I haven't counted it just yet, but there's it's gotta be at least 50.
I had noted a dozen bodies as I moved through the building. Nowhere near 50. Clearly the stress was getting to the commissioner. Some of these bodies have been here for days, some only hours. They all show the same signs of chemical exposure. Have you sent samples off for analysis?
I was just gonna do that. We're gonna sample some for analysis.
I withdrew a hypodermic needle from my coat breast pocket and drew my own sample from the nearest body, one that appeared to be the most recent. I'm gonna run some tests of my own on the man-pewter back at the man cave. Holy shit, I love this. Keep me informed, I said as I turned and went back up the stairs.
Sure thing, Manfred.
At a luncheon the next day, I appeared simply as Fred Mann, millionaire playboy philanthropist, rubbing elbows and sharing drinks with other members of my country club. Greg Onion was boring me to tears with his complaining about all the environmental regulations he had to go through when it came to cleaning up industrial waste. Oh, I'm so sorry, Greggy. You have my sympathies. How dare those dirty liberals try to stop you from dumping your fetid shit directly into the river? None of this I said out loud, of course. I merely nodded along with the rest of the group as he spoke. Onion had moved on to asking us all if we liked kombucha. When the TV playing the news on a side table caught my eye, The text call along the bottom of the screen read, Ruckersville Asylum to reopen. But the newscaster's face was twisted into a smile, and it seemed as though she simply could not stop laughing. She doubled over in pain, and the last image before she dropped out of frame was her bulging eyes and horrific grin. The same terrible grin I'd seen too many times the night before. As we stood around the TV in stunned silence, we're in for another shock. A man stepped into the shot. A man with a pronounced underbite and green hair falling to the side of his face. His eyes slowly rolled down to fix the camera with a mad stare. His exact, rambling statement was unimportant. What mattered was his declaration that tonight he would kill the Onion Boy. I, of course, recommended to Greg that he contact the police. Immediately. Go straight to the top. Commissioner Chandler. That night I swept silently to the grounds of the stately Onion Manor in rural Gig Harbor, just outside of Station Square. Commissioner Chandler had brought out his toughest cops and ringed the house with them. Without a sound, I swung onto the roof and made my way to the central foyer skylight. Greg was there, pacing about the room, waving his arms and shouting at the officers accompanying Chandler. Touching the tip of my glove to the window, I could listen in on their exchange. You tried the FBI, and it didn't work!
Now, this house is lighted up tighter than Fort Knox. Nothing to worry about.
You got to leave, and your whole life falls apart because a bunch of people online want to troll you! Just then Greg started laughing. I could see the madness enter his eyes, but he kept laughing harder and harder, barely able to gasp out. What's the matter? Don't you like kombucha? I fucking love you, Inferno Bot. Before collapsing to the floor, convulsing and frothing at the mouth, the madman had already gotten to him. No doubt some time-released chemical agent introduced into his system via his beloved kombucha tea. Long before the freak announced his plan, I had to get back to the man cave. I had to find an antidote to this toxin before he struck again. What was worse were the TikTok videos on trending when I returned. Tagged with phrases like, "Joke's on you." They showed the grinning psychopath laughing and tossing out guns like party favors to the former inmates of Ruckersville Asylum. Seemed he just used the assassination of Greg Onion as a means to draw any police presence and keep me distracted. Couldn't believe I'd been so blind. By the time the morning news had caught up with the story, they were calling him the Joker. What they named him mattered little to me. I poured myself into my research, determined to find some antidote. Breakfast coffee and McMuffin, my faithful butler, brought to me had long ago gone cold, when the man-pewter alerted me to the new trending TikTok video. The Joker grinned into the camera, eyes rolled up in his head as he gleefully spoke. Tonight, friends at Station Square, I put on a show, like Fred Astaire. I'll be easy, just like kindergarten, with the murder Michael Martin. Be sure to smash subscribe button. Absolutely obliterate bell icon. Don't miss any of the new videos. I hung my head. I was no closer to solving this puzzle, and the Joker was already announcing his next victim. My hands stung from how tightly I clenched them. The stainless steel surgical tools I'd been holding were just mangled bits of twisted metal now. I cast them aside and rang the commissioner. Commissioner, I'm sure you've seen the latest news.
I haven't, but I'm sure it's something I'll have to watch.
Damn it! He claims he's going to kill Michael Martin next. You have to get there first. Run a blood test on Martin to see if he's already got the toxin in his system.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
I ended the call. I need to get out there, on the streets. In moments, I was behind the wheel of the Man-mobile. tearing through the suburbs of Station Square on my way to the heart of the city and Michael Martin's penthouse. Commissioner Chandler had outdone himself this time. Not just police officers, but searchlights and a helicopter. The building was surrounded, airtight perimeter. I slipped past them into the building's ventilation ducts and crawled to Martin's penthouse. Like an unseen booger falling into a cup of coffee, I dropped silently into the suite's bathrooms. They ever tell you you have a way with words? My tactical man loafers muffled my footfalls. Before either man had realized it, I was standing behind Chandler and Martin. Martin was attempting to explain to Chandler the ins and outs of the new viaduct project his company was on the verge of completing. Chandler.
Manfred. Well, we're already here for him. That thing old jerk horse hurt his face again.
What were the results of the blood tests?
A blood test? I didn't have time to do that.
The hell are you talking about? He could have already been exposed.
I've been under a lot of stress. I have a lot to do. I got to tell people where to go and make sure the bad guy doesn't get here.
Now, see here, Commissioner. You told me you'd taken every precaution. Suddenly, the police helicopter circling the building dipped down to our floor and shone a spotlight directly into the penthouse. No, this wasn't a police helicopter. This one had a garish red and white smile painted below the cockpit. I only caught a glimpse of the jutting lower jaw and half-lidded eyes of the maniac leaning out of the chopper with a grenade launcher before the windows exploded into a million shards of glistening crystal. I dove to shield Martin with the body of my brown suit jacket, throwing him to the floor in the process. I had one chance. If I couldn't find my mark, we were done for. I slid a Manor from my sleeve and threw it at the chopper. The sharpened tip of the metal mustache pierced the cockpit window and sunk into the controls, sending crackling arcs of electricity through the pilot's display. The whole bird lurched violently to one side and then to the other as it began spiraling towards the street below. The sound of uproarious laughter behind me brought me back to reality. Martin was curled up on the floor amidst the shattered glass, laughing uncontrollably. No, it couldn't be. I stopped the attack, and something dark and glistening caught my eye. Martin's blood on the glass mixed with something else. Of course, his grenades had been loaded with the toxin. Must have entered his blood through the cuts he sustained when he fell onto the broken glass from the window. I fired my grappling gun to the adjacent building and swung out into the night. Most of the helicopter's contents were a smoldering wreck by the time I arrived, but I was able to salvage an empty chemical canister. Enough of the label remained for me to get an address, and a trail from the wrecked chopper led me to the Deuce Chemical Plant. A quick circuit around the plant didn't reveal the Jokar or his henchmen, but I did spot something interesting. One of the workers had patches of discolored skin, like the Jokar and his victims. I swung down to have a personal chat. How'd you get the discolored patches? Talk! Whoa, please, Manfred, I didn't do nothing. I just got splashed by some of the waste stuff, when it was going on break. Anyone else get splashed by this stuff? A couple of guys get a bit on him once in a while, I heard one guy put his arm in the barrel one time. Turned his hand all white and his hair's green. Where is it? Out back, loading dollies. Collected a sample and hurried back to the man cave. Maybe by isolating this chemical in its raw form, I'd be able to find the break that I'd been searching for. I was awakened from my slumber, slouched over the seat of my manputer by the beeping of TikTok to alert me of another video uploaded from the Jokar. Oh, amigos! Looks like Station Square suited savior just doesn't get the joke. Well, you know what they say. Third time's the charm. This time I'm going after Station Square's leading citizen, Fred Man. Be seeing you soon, Freddy. The video closed. My eye was drawn to the blinking indicator on the MEN spectral analyzer. I had a complete breakdown of the chemical compound. I had a chance now. A chance to beat the Jokar at his own game. There'd be no way to test it before he sprung whatever devious trap he had prepared. But this time, I'd be ready. Fred Man wasn't going down without a fight. The hours ticked by as I frittered away money around the games at Casinoopolis and Station Square's casino area. My butler and I were the only ones allowed on the floor, aside from the casino's employees and 50 of Station Square's finest. I invited them all to have a drink, play the slots, take a seat at the table. All on me, of course. Had to play the part of the devil-may-care eccentric millionaire, after all. To act as though I was so rich, nothing really concerned me. Pretend I was confident in my casino's security would keep me safe and protected from the laughing madman prowling around the dark alleys of Station Square. "Would you like to split, Mr. Man?" The dealer's voice brought me out of my daydream. "Pardon?" "Your hand. Would you like to split?" I looked down and realized I'd been dealt a pair of twos. Double deuce. Just my luck. Then something clicked. The deuce. Greg Onion. He owned the Deuce chemical plant. Michael Martin had been building a new viaduct, one that would negate Station Square's dependence on the river for fresh water. Tonight was high tide. Highest for the year, in fact. That meant the river's flow would be its slowest and the water levels at their highest. I frantically checked my wristwatch. 2 hours to high tide. If someone were to release a high concentration of chemical pollutants into the river now, there was no plan to kill me. This was a diversion! I had to get out of there without drawing any suspicion. Beneath my tuxedo, I was wearing my Manfred suit. The experimental antitoxin was in the pocket. I had to chance it. I slid my hand in my jacket like I was reaching for a French fry at the bottom of a bag and stabbed myself in the finger with a syringe. Almost immediately, I felt flushed. My hand started shaking first, and I felt my diaphragm flip-flop. The first laugh came out like a gasp, then a chuckle, followed by a roar. I slammed my hands on the table, veins bulging under the skin. I think the dealer screamed. My butler was there immediately. I looked him in the eye and winked. "Help us to the car. I must get Mr. Mann to the hospital immediately." The police and personal security lifted me up. I was carried to my private elevator. All around were rings and dazzling lights. I fought to regain control. "Damn it, Manfred, you're tougher than this." The shakes had begun to subside. I was getting my breathing back to measured breaths. Loaded into the back seat of my Mercedes, my butler tore out of the parking garage before anyone else had time to jump in the car with us. "I take it we're not checking into the emergency room, sir?" I was already shrugging off my tuxedo. "Turn north. I'll have the man wing rendezvous with us as you cross the trestle." "Are you certain about this, Mr. Mann?" "I've never been more certain of anything in my life." The man wing swept out of the sky like a great mustache of prey. The ejector seat launched me out of the Mercedes, out of Fred Mann's world, and into the cockpit of the man wing, into Manfred's world. There were mere minutes for the man wing to cover the distance to the riverfront. I prayed I wasn't too late. Circling above, I could see lights and movement below. Jokar was here. He brought friends. I took a run at the garishly painted trucks lined up beneath the plant. The man missiles streaked out into the night and tore them to pieces. Bodies flew everywhere. I could see that grinning, green-haired fool shouting and gesturing wildly towards the sky. I swung around for another pass, opening up with the man-gatling guns. He dove out of the way, but his remaining men were riddled with bullets. Swinging around again, I caught a glimpse of him fleeing into the plant. I'd have to go in after him to finish this. Brought the man wing in low and set the autopilot before folding my arms and letting myself slide out of the ejection chute. After gliding down on the spread sides of my suit jacket, I dropped to the ground, eyeing the scene. Bodies scattered around were all obviously hardened criminals and escaped lunatics. I made my way past them, past the pools of blood mixing with bubbling chemical waste, into the dimly lit interior of the plant. The chemical stink made my mustache bristle. I reached out with all of my senses, feeling for my quarry. Suddenly a shot rang out, rolled to the left just in time as chips of concrete blistered off the spot that I had been standing in moments before. I had to move quickly. More shots were coming in now, pinging off the pipes and ricocheting off of concrete walkways all around me. Holding my arms outstretched behind me, I sped up a flight of stairs and zigzagged on my way along a catwalk, closing the distance between myself and the Jokar. Out of bullets, he smiled and shrugged, dropping the gun over the railing, and I froze. He's up to something. He hooked his thumbs into the lapels of his Hawaiian shirt. I know what you're planning, Jokar. Give it up. Well, mans. Looks like you caught me. Guess I got no choice but to let you take me to federal pound me in the ass jail. You're gonna do hard time for this. Maybe even the electric chair. Don't you want to hold me over the railing for a bit? Threaten to beat my face in? I'm taking you in. This madness ends now. Come on, Manfred. Lighten up a little. As he said this, the flower tucked into his breast pocket shot out a stream of liquid, hitting me square in the face. Smile, Manfred. You're about to be a TikTok star. Tell the folks at home how my extra strength die laughing formula tastes. I licked my lips and narrowed my eyes before responding. Refreshing. No, that's not possible. Everyone laughs. Why don't you laugh? TikTok is just fine with shittier memes. Drawing myself up to my full height, I thrust my arms to the sides and held them there. Straight as a cross, I advanced forward. I could feel the heat behind my eyes. With supreme effort, I unleashed my man lasers on him, forcing him back down to the floor. Please, no more! I did not heed his cries, but I drew in a breath that filled my lungs with sweet justice as I asserted dominance. The end. That was fucking incredible. Holy shit. You know, it's times like this that I really wish that I was an artist, because I would totally make this into a comic. That was fucking amazing, Infernobot. Thank you so much. Holy fuck. I was not expecting that to end with a T-pose of dominance. Oh, fucking hell. Wow, okay. So, with all that, I really don't have anything else I can add. This is just too perfect. Hey everyone, it's me just before the end of this video. Wanting to give a super special mega thank you to our artist friend Jenna, who did the fantastic Manfred artwork you saw in today's episode. If you enjoyed this and want to support her, you should absolutely do that, and, you know, tell her how awesome she is in the comments. That's why we have them. That's why we support each other. Also, if you want to get your hands on your own Manfred stuff, some amazing man merch, if you will, those are available in the merch shop. The link to that merch shop is in the description of this video, so go check it out. Okay, I love you. Goodbye. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and a special thanks to my Moonfriendios Babbsy-kun and Stony Inc. If you would like to send in your own story, you can send it to r/Moonhorse Stories, or if you would like to donate to my Patreon, you can do that. Please do. There's also a merch store if you want to buy anything there, and, well, honestly, that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I love you all. I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, goodbye now. Bye.